Compliment the girl when you're flirting. Compliment. That's the fine line here between the bad guy and the good guy, and we're trying to get the middle ground, really. So where the bad guys get it wrong is they very, very rarely compliment. And where the good guys get it wrong is they're consistently always complimenting or fawning. So the first thing is, don't compliment consistently. If your first email is "Hi, you look beautiful," and then the second one is, "You're really gorgeous. Wow, I can't believe that you've opened a conversation with me," then you're not complimenting. It's just do it every once in a while, maybe every 3, every 4, every 5 texts or emails, depending on the amount of banter that you've got. The bad guys will sort of be banter, and even crossing the line into attacking. And then this is about you having that banter, but also being able to throw in a real compliment. There's huge amounts of studies done on what real compliments are, and easiest way for you to remember how to create a real compliment is to put "because" in it. And one of the other videos about conversation, I think I demonstrated to you the power of the word "because." Personally, I think it's one of the single most powerful words in the English language, and I would suggest that you read a book called Psychology of Influence by Robert Cialdini, and that will show you the relevancy. But where our brain is trained that once we hear something after the "because," we take it as logical, as factual, and as a true meaning. So instead of saying "I like your earrings," that's a compliment, but there's no real depth to it. Whereas if you said, "I like your earrings because the blue stone complements that little twinkle that you've got in your eye," it must have taken you ages to get that correct match. It doesn't have to be something massive or over the top, something like that, but it's the "because." Chivalry, old-fashioned gentlemanly chivalry. Every now and again, if you have the opportunity to, it's very, very hard on emails or text, but if you have the opportunity to do something that's a little bit chivalrous, then extend yourself. An example that I had was literally, I think I had a conversation started on Plenty of Fish with a girl who I'd emailed about 2 months before. I'd emailed her 3 times and she had ignored me, and I hadn't seen her for about a month. And I saw her on Plenty of Fish about 9 o'clock one morning. I sent her an email across, and she replied instantly. We had a couple of emails back and forth, and she told me that she was home ill, and she was feeling really, really sick. And sort of my chivalrous was, well, I always sort of add in, well, I hope someone nice like you has got someone taking care of them, or but responding to your every whim, as everyone feeling ill should have. And she said, well, actually, no, I haven't. For whatever reason, she had no one in the close proximity to go and look after her. So I was going out that afternoon anyway. She didn't live that far away from me, so I picked her up some Lucozade, some soup, a couple of other little things. She was a bit worried that she didn't actually want to physically see me because she said she looked awful. So that's fine. She texted me her number, she texted me her address. I bought her a couple of little things, and I went to her place and I left them on the front door, and then left. About 4 days later, when she was feeling better, she came to my place for an X-rated encounter. I'm not always saying that wasn't where I was going with that one, but that little bit of chivalry just went a massive, massive way, and she was an extremely good-looking A-list girl. Compliments on an intellectual level. So girls love, especially the good-looking girls, is compliments about their intellect, how smart they are. If you're in banter with them and they get the banter, then every now and again make a compliment to show that there's a level of intellect there. If they are obviously intelligent, then demonstrate that, compliment them. If they've made reference to a book that or even a book that you don't know, do a little bit of research. If it's not 50 Shades of Grey, which is mummy porn, but it's a book of poetry or a classic, then you can make a compliment around that. So pay a compliment around the intellect, and then also compliment about the personality. So make a compliment about how laid back they are, how passionate they are, how interesting they are generally as a personality, and include because. Jane, I've really enjoyed our last communications. Your passion shines through. I really love the way you discuss your hobby of surfing. Your passion really shines through, and that's a really good sign, because what I found about people's personality is if they're passionate about one thing, then they're generally passionate about most things in life, and that's a fantastic trait that not many people have. So compliment their personality. I want to say never, ever, ever, certainly in the first instance, compliment their physical appearance, because that is what every other guy is doing, is complimenting their physical appearance, saying, hey, you're better than me, and I'm gonna fawn all over you, and hey, you look beautiful, your legs look stunning, whatever it is. Do not do it. Be real, be chivalrous if you can, compliment their intellect and their personality, working on that emotional level rather than their physical appearance, and your flirting will absolutely go through the roof. You'll find that you're not quite sure why it's happening, but they will be attracted to you like you've never ever had before. Use humour. Humour is a difficult thing to get across in emails and texts, and can be misunderstood. The first thing is, don't do it by telling jokes. Trying to stay away from the man walks into a pub jokes if you can, or there's an English Irishman and a Scotsman, and don't be goofy as well. Don't be the guy that's with pictures of you wearing a mankini with a beer bottle in your left nostril and a cigarette in your right nostril. Whatever it is, avoid the being goofy. And I think even I showed in the competition module, there was a guy wearing a white suit with a red shirt. He was either trying to be goofy, or he was just plainly bad dress sense. But do not be goofy. Use positive humour if you can. Even slightly sarcastic or banter. The amount of profiles from females that you read that say, I love banter. And that's what we're doing, that's what we're engaging in, is banter. So stay away from telling jokes and being goofy. The sex test. Very occasionally, what you'll find with girls is they throw out, and it's testing. So when they're flirting with you, they'll throw out something with a little bit of innuendo to it. And really, what most guys will do is come back with that and pounce on that and say, "Oh yeah, I'd love to be doing that with you." I don't know. Say they threw something in like, I don't know, I'm having a dirty weekend, which could mean they're off mountain biking or they're off horse riding or something. Most guys would pounce on that quite quickly and would say, well, all right, love, I'd love to be having a dirty weekend with you. Pass their test, play harder to get than that, play more mysterious and intrigue than that. So some of the things you can do for that is, depending on what the flirtation is or what they throw at you, is I just reply with, hey, I'm not sure of your usual type, but I'm not like that. Or do guys really go for that? Do guys really fall for that? Or really, come on. Or even a couple of times, I throw it back. I say, the thing that I say is, wow, were you really just trying to set me up so I could reply with an overly sexual innuendo? Do guys really fall for that? And then they come back with, oh no, sorry, Rahul, sorry, it was so I've got them apologising, and then I kind of play with them and I can tease them with that. So look out for the sex test. If they throw something at you that's overly sexual innuendo, it's kind of the push-pull tactic as well, if you like. It's not running with it straight away. Most guys will just pounce on it and won't. It'll be like with a dog with a bone, and they're shaking it and they just won't let it go. But be cooler than that. Be more mysterious than that. And then we do have the push-pull. Push-pull is about being unpredictable. So if you've had 7, 8, 9, 10 emails in a row, they've all been a little bit of banter and compliments. How can you use a push-pull technique? So a lot of your texts and your emails are designed to pull them into you. It's about asking great questions. It's about every now and again, maybe once every 3 or 4 texts or emails, putting in a compliment. So it's about being unpredictable. So it's about pushing them away from you. So saying things like, as simple as, hey, sorry, maybe I made a mistake when I first contacted you. Maybe we're not going to be a good match. and you've changed the dynamic, and all of a sudden they're throwing it back at you. Oh, what do you mean by that? Hey, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. So it's being more aloof. It's even in the speed. If you've had, if you've had 4 or 5 emails going back and forth in the space of an hour, and you've done that a few times, then you could leave it a couple of days, and it's, oh, hang on, what's happened? It's not being predictable. If you're always online between 9 and 10, and that's when she knows that you're going to be online, then don't do it. Don't reply in that period. But it's just about changing the pace every now and again, being unpredictable, and then changing the sexual pace as well. So, as I said, every now and again you can ramp it up. You can be flirtatious. You can ask questions. And I got some flirtation questions coming for you in a minute. But then what will happen is, most guys, once you're in a sexual flirtation text or email conversation, they'll just carry it on and they'll hammer it home, like I said earlier, with the dog with a bone, and literally think, right, I've got my chance. Here's now when I'm going to get, I'm going to get her. I can send out my really naughty text. I can really send her. I can try and get her to send me naughty pictures. I can go for the kill and get the telephone number or the date. But change that sexual pace. If you're really in a highly flirtatious text situation, leave it for a little bit, a minute or 2 or 5 minutes, and then send us something completely different, something really random that's out of the blue, that's got nothing to do with the sexual conversation thread that you've just had. Maybe the beginning of one of your stories, or a pop culture text, or anything of that, or a completely different random question. And what that does is it gets her slightly confused. She might have been engaged in this sexual innuendo or the flirtation text, and bang, all of a sudden you've taken that away from her, and she's now wondering what's going on. You can come back to it at any time, but just change that pace. You do not want to be Mr. Predictable, because Mr. Predictable doesn't get dates, and certainly doesn't get X-rated encounters. Be aloof every now and again. Don't answer every single question that she throws at you. Be playfully aloof in how you answer. So, mine are, with my aloofness, is if someone asks me, well, what's your day got planned, or how was your day? My kind of push-pull banter is always, I flew to Paris for some lion taming, grabbed some lunch, and came home for dolphin training this afternoon. But so just be a little bit. Don't feel free to step back, and not kind of talk about everything that's going on in your life. Be a little bit mysterious, and then playfully teasing with their emotions. So when you are in that emotional language and you've got them talking about emotions, playfully tease them about it. Oh, hang on, are you still the type of girl that's overly dependent on your mother? Or just silly little things, but just tease them about those emotions. Or, sorry, I don't think we're going to get on. I'm looking for someone that's overly confident, and you sound like that you're a little bit insecure in your emotions at the moment. But you've got to do it the right way, in the right time. But tease them at the emotional level, rather than just the usual out and out boys banter that we're used to having. So a couple of push-pull examples that you can use. So early on, in a conversation thread with a girl, generally in the emails, when she's replied, especially if she's put something funny in a reply, or she's made a short comment and she said lol, you could put something like this in. For some odd reason, I just knew you had to have a great sense of humor, despite the fact that you are attractive. So that's a push-pull. So you're paying a compliment. For some odd reason, I just knew you had to have a great sense of humour. And then you're almost taking a little bit away from her, and it's despite the fact that you're attractive. So while you're paying a backhanded compliment there that, hey, we all know you're attractive, but you're saying that you're acknowledging she's got a sense of humour despite the fact you're attractive. So actually, you're not like all the other the girls on here who, the attractive ones don't tend to be funny. They don't tend to have a personality. That'll get you a huge amount of response, something like that. What am I going to do with you? I mean, I have ideas, but they're inappropriate for now. That's just a general lead in, and then leave it there, and that will get them to pick up on that. This is the most fun I've had in the last 3 minutes. You can use that for anything. Do you know what? You're the most exciting girl I've met this hour. Do you know what? You're the girl with the best personality I've met in the last 5 emails. Anything of that nature. So it's kind of the push pull. It's a little bit of a compliment, but then it's taking away because of the ludicrousness of the time frame. Flirting questions, some very easy flirtatious questions that you can start throwing in. So once you find sexy in a man, what's your sexiest feature? What do you have going for you more than your looks? So these are just very simple, easy questions that can lead you into certain things. So what you find sexy in a man is you're looking for her to tell you either what she's found sexy in you or what she finds sexy in general. And that's a great conversational question. And what's your sexiest feature? And this is a great one because they'll tell you a lot about their personality. Ooh, I'm not quite sure. It tells you they're not that confident. Or they'll come across with, I've got a great bum. People tell me I've got a great bum. And then you can develop that and use that more as a flirtatious device. Great bum, eh? Well, we'll see. I couldn't really see it from the photos, and then you leave it on that, and then it can come back with, are you trying to ask for another photo? Or, hey, maybe I'll ping if you're lucky, you'll get to see it in real life, or I'll ping you over a photo. And then the one I use from this is I tend to, if girls say they've got a great bum, which most girls do, then I tend to use nicknames for them, and my nickname for them will be Peachy. So straight away I've now got that consistent flirtatious thread. Every text that I send them that starts with "Hey Peachy," I'm following up on this flirtatious anchor, if you like. So it's bringing them back to that flirtation all the time rather than just a one-off event. Teasing. I use teasing to greater effect. My text flows, especially when I get them on text and off dating sites, are really random. They go at all different angles. So one of these is, okay, you're sacked as my PA. It's bad enough when you wear those short skirts to the office, but this is way too much. And I picked that one up from a course that I'll recommend in the recommended resource area. A well-used one that's been used a lot in the pickup material. If you carry on like that, we're going to have to get a divorce. So, if they've sent a text and they said something that you think is slightly inappropriate or an innuendo, or they haven't complied to a request, you can use some of these things. If you carry on like that, we're going to have to get a divorce. And you're amazed at the texts that come back. And now you're starting to get a little bit of role play going. Especially the PA one, and I'll show you an instance of that as how it happened in reality at the end of this presentation. One I use as well when someone's just been a little bit overly hard to get, or very short, sharp answers to put them in their place. Are you an only child, or did something else happen to make you like this? So the insinuation is that you're a brat, but I haven't come out and said you're a brat, which you can do, but I like to leave it like that on a bit of a cliffhanger. And they'll say, wait, what do you mean like this? Or, actually, no, I am an only child, but what do you mean like this? Are you insinuating that I'm spoilt? So it's a great way of teasing. Challenging. So this, again, is push-pull. It's challenging them, pushing them away. Generally, you're pulling them in, but maybe once every 3 to 4 emails or texts, you push them away. Hey, I'm sorry, but I don't think you're naughty enough. So I'll show you how I use that one to massive effect in the X-rated members area if you've bought into that. But I use that enough to get girls. I use that a lot to get girls to prove to me that they are naughty enough to engage with me. So I've turned the tables 180 degrees. Do you want me to come over there and kick sand in your face? So it's quite playful. If they've said something in a text that is a little bit not confrontational but banter or outside of the norm, you could throw that back at them. Do you want me to come over there and kick sand in your face? And then and then you're challenging, but it's a playful challenge, and then they'll go off sometimes into a little bit of a role play. One that I use a lot is my mum warned me about girls like you and said that you really need a good spanking. A couple of things there is obviously the spanking, which stands out straight away, and you'll be amazed at the responses that come back from that. Yeah, you're all promises, things of that. I get back quite a lot. Oh, that sounds good. Or you're all promises, or you're all talk, or you can't handle me, which is another one that comes back quite a lot. And then I follow up with, yeah, talk is cheap. So then it's all consistently challenging. And so that's another one that maybe I could have put on here is talk is cheap. When they say things, just challenge them back to them. Yeah, it's great in talk, but not in actions. Or people say that, but very few can live with their actions. Um, and the other thing is, it's not me saying it. If you look, I've carefully deflected it onto someone else, which is my mum. My mum warned me about girls like you and said that you really need a good spanking. So it's actually not me saying that; it's my mother. And that's a great one. Things like that will get you a huge amount of positive response. Nicknames are fantastic. As soon as you can get a nickname associated with the girl that you're communicating with, you are in a flirtatious conversation. The one that I use most is trouble. And I use that straight out. Even on an internet dating site, within one or two emails, I'll say, hey, trouble, and then lead into it. And I won't say why I'm calling them trouble. So the natural response is they come back with, I've had a number of responses. Oh, I quite like being called trouble. Or, oh, so what makes you think I'm trouble then? And then that's starting sort of that flirty conversation. So you say, well, a man doesn't give away all his secrets about I've read about you in your profile, or what I've determined, or what assumptions I've made about you in your profile. You can answer it like that, or you can say it straight outright. Well, by your responses, of course. Or there's so many different ways. But girls love to be called trouble because it's that mysterious enigma. Things like peachy. If they've said, if you've asked what's your sexiest feature and they've said their bum, then you can reply with the next one is, hey peachy. And then every time you do that in a text or an email, you're continuing that flirt. So you've got that little thread that just consistently keeps that going. A couple of others, brat and naughty. So I use naughty a little bit more when I pick up the pace and describe how I do that in the X-rated members area. But naughty is a good one for doing that. Especially for high level sexual flirtation.